I'd like to welcome you today to the Gaia-X Self-Description Hackathon, organized by the German Gaia-X Hub as part of the Gaia-X funding competition. We are very pleased that so many of you are attending today. Please note that the presentation is being recorded and will be made available to you afterwards, but we will not be recording the Q&A session. And with that, I would like to welcome Kai Meinke and thank him for taking the time today to explain the topic of self-description in more detail. I would like to briefly introduce Kai, although in the Gaia-X context, he almost doesn't need to be introduced. Kai is a co-founder of the deltaDAO AG and the lead of the Gaia-X open source software community. deltaDAOs have been created their first minimal viable Gaia-X, which is now the Gaia-X Web3 ecosystem, and Janice networked and worked on the creation of the Gaia-X compliance service and Gaia-X registry under the Gaia-X CTO Pierre Conley. And with that, the stage is yours, Kai.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to have you all here on Friday morning. Regarding video, if you have any questions, just turn on your video and talk. Jump to the chat, raise your hand. We are happy to take them all as good as we can. I'm not alone here. I'm super happy to have strong support. With me is Thomas Commenda. We also have the eco team here, and I would like to give you a quick opportunity to introduce yourselves as well, as you are deeply involved in everything being discussed today. So I would like, before we go deeper into expectations, goals, procedure, hand over to Lauresha, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kai. So I'm Lauresha Mehmeti. I work at ECO as a technical project manager for Gaia-X Federation Services. Thank you for the app that invited us in this workshop. We have Anya and Christoph that were leading the work package of self-description. But for bad luck, Anya is on sick leave and today she couldn't join. But she has two substitute members from her team that will be all the time available for more detailed and questions regarding self-descriptions, and Christoph as well. I won't keep it long. Thank you. I hand it over to Christoph.
Yeah, so I'm happy to help here. As Christoph involved here on many sides. Christoph Lange from Fraunhofer in one application project and also in GXF SDE leading the work package on self-descriptions, and in the Gaia-X Association leading the related working group service characteristics. So in case there are questions, this is not the main focus of today, but in case there are questions about, let's say, the syntax, semantics, and validation of self-descriptions, I'll be happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So it's really important that Christoph mentioned this. The working groups are already working on these topics as ontologies, schemata. And for today, we would consider them advanced topics. So this is to get you started, hands-on, start walking, and then encourage everybody to dive deeper into the advanced topics, resource self-descriptions, service self-descriptions, and everything you need. But we'll get to that in a minute. Anybody else from EcoSide willing to make an introduction before we head into the program?
Team member will just follow on this topic. Thank you, Kai,
Perfect.
by the way. We have Andreas on the call that is leading the GXFS Germany. And yeah, here, hi, Andreas. Everyone already knows Andreas.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kai.
Good. Then
and good luck.
Thank you very much. So let's get started. Going to share my screen. Please give me a signal if everything is visible to you before we start.
Yes.
I see nodding. Thank you very much, Thomas. That's great. So let me enlarge just a little bit. So goals of today. So what do we want to do to get you started? First of all, have fun. So this is a hands-off workshop. It's not stiff. You can ask basically anything. You can even joke. So having fun on Friday is a good idea. As we dive into the basics of the trust framework, I consider it basic because we will not be able to cover everything in 3 hours, and it's very hands-on. It means doing the self-descriptions on your own and with our help. So, second goal, create your first Gaia-X Participant Self-Description. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it should be good and it should work. So this is the outcome I would like to realize for everybody joining here as a company, as an institution, that you can say, okay, I created my first participant self-descriptions, if you did not already do so in the past. Furthermore, we would like to use the current version of the Gaia-X compliance service to verify your self-description. That should give you the feeling of a first success starting into this topic. Along the way, we will learn more about the trust framework in its current form and how it's going. And that's a brilliant topic for longer discussion. We will not cover everything, so expectation level medium, but depending on how fast we are, the deeper we can go. As a second result of today, and I'm happy to have Christoph here and all the others working on this topic, we want to prepare you to go deeper into the topic hands-on, contributing to the working groups, working on your own advanced self-descriptions, for example, for services and resources. But first steps first, starting with a participant self-description, which is basically the baseline for everything else. And as a bonus, we are going to allow you the onboarding to the test ecosystem. Of course, we are not an eIDAS trust anchor, so we can't do the real production onboarding, and we are not a clearinghouse here. But for this test and getting warm with self-descriptions, we will onboard you to the Gaia-X Web3 ecosystem as well. So these are basically our goals for today. We have 3 hours time for that. And whenever you are done with your self-descriptions, you're of course free to leave or stay, ask questions, and help others, which would be wonderful. So why are we doing this in the first place? So why are you all here? I really recommend checking out the trust framework. Would be good if somebody can drop the link in the chat, because I won't be able to copy everything as I'm presenting. The trust framework defines the minimum rules, the minimum baseline to be part of the Gaia-X ecosystem, meaning it enables semantic interoperability, portability of identities, and basically make sure that we are able to understand each other in the context of the data infrastructure. How it's currently envisioned and being implemented, we are using for that verifiable credentials, verifiable presentations, and linked data representations. So this is why we will see JSON LD files and work in exactly this context and the W3C VC standard. Why is it that important? Why are we having this workshop today? Because these rules apply to all Gaia-X self-descriptions and all the entities, meaning all participants, federators, consumers, service providers. So basically everybody will have a Gaia-X compliant self-description in the end. Those consuming services, those providing services, those providing federation services, for example. Furthermore, it's important for the service offerings, as discussed on the last summit. And as you could see in the catalog, for everything that's being offered and used basically in those ecosystems, you will need to have a Gaia-X self-description. And also for the resources. Underlying all these services, you have a lot of resources that's part of the service composition that will also need to describe. And I know a lot of people are really working on all those ontologies, for example, for data resources, AI resources, cloud computing resources, edge resources. All those will also find their way into self-descriptions. I see a first raised hand. Arne, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kai. Just a short question. Will we also use in this workshop this SD creation wizard?
Not for today.
Not for today, okay.
We will do it really hands-on, and by that I mean typing it down into the self-description.
Okay.
Perfect. To continue on the basics, we're talking about these interoperable autonomous data infrastructure ecosystems. I think you have seen that slide many times. And we don't want to focus today on the technical interoperability, the higher levels. We might touch on extended governance, meaning, for example, added attributes to self-descriptions and added requirements. But first of all, we want to use everything here in the trust framework regarding Gaia-X compliance, especially the current instantiation of the Gaia-X compliance service, and we are going to use the Gaia-X registry. Please note, all these are current subject to change. They will be updated with the next release, and there will be breaking updates. Nonetheless, the services will be there and be integral to the Gaia-X digital clearinghouses. I think you have seen this as well. So what is the Gaia-X registry? What is the compliance service? So we are going to use them, but I want to quickly introduce them. What the Gaia-X registry, as a quick summary, takes care of, it stores basically the rules for compliance and the list of trust anchors. So the schemata we are going to use today, you will find them in the Gaia-X registry, and we can have a look at them later. But this is basically the baseline that is agreed by the Gaia-X community and governed by the Gaia-X community. Various ecosystems can have their own instantiations and local registries with different rules, extended governance, but for today we are going to use the current form of the Gaia-X registry. We will not cover everything regarding self-descriptions, just on expectation management. I think a little bit is missing here. For example, we will not touch service self-descriptions, resource self-descriptions, and Gaia-X labels, because it would just be too much for today. We will just go with step one. We will create self-descriptions for participants, submit them to the compliance service so you get a feel for the workflow. And that's what we cover today for hopefully everybody joining. There's an important concept, the SSI concept, underlying all of this. It's different than SSO. I don't want to go into details. And in the end, if you're using OpenID Connect or anything else, matter of technical discussion, not for today. The important point is the payloads must be understood. So what identifies you and what will later identify your services and resources. And this knowledge we want to strengthen today by practice. Any questions so far? Happy to take them before we dive into the how are we going to do it. Perfect. Then we go to the next step. How are we going to do it? And this will now be a bit more practical. So we will skip a few things. What we are going to do is we are going to create self-descriptions for participants according to the current version of the trust framework, and you will be able to take them away from today's workshop. What we are not going to do today for everybody, and this is why I put it red here, we will not go the full way for everybody, meaning that you create your own DITs, meaning that you won't be needing or using your own X509 certificates today, and you're not required to host your DITs. Why did we do that? Because that's extra effort, and we wanted to keep the entry barrier for today very low. I know a lot of you have the technical capabilities and knowledge to do that, and you are very much encouraged to do so throughout the workshop. But we want to address the vast majority of participants today, and for this, we will go the easy route. So how does, for example, such a self-description look like? I think you have seen many of them already. This is a description of the Gaia-X ISBL, for example. This is where we are going to start hands-on in the practical part of the workshop. You will be filling out your own participant self-descriptions together with us as a starter. Furthermore, for those who are willing to go really deep, you can do all that on your own, using your own certificates, using a signer, even one you developed yourself. Here are some examples how you can do it with the current toolkits available. And then you could even use your own RSA keys, X509 certificates that have, for example, been received from an Gaia-X Trust service provider, if you have them at hand. For this workshop today, we will do it a bit differently. We will mock as deltaDAO the role of a trust service provider for an ecosystem and assume this role. So we are going to sign the self-descriptions for you and hand them over to you to make it as easy as possible. Later on, when you have Gaia-X digital clearinghouses, you can expect this workload being on this side where you receive signed self-descriptions from trust service providers, accredited trust anchors, and, for example, the clearinghouses. How does it look like? Let me quickly show you in practice. So, in the end, the self-description will be signed by a trust service provider. In this case, it would be us. What we will do next, we will submit these self-descriptions to the compliance service. We'll do that practical with the first self-description step by step in the hands-on part right next, but staying on the slides just now. Compliance service in its current form can be found under these URLs. All resource links will be shared in our collaborative document in a minute. What happens then? Your submitted self-description will be checked by the compliance service according to the trust framework. And in the end, the final version of the self-description will have a signature from us, trust service provider being mocked for today in the test ecosystem, and by the compliance service, in this case, meaning Gaia-X ISBL. Later, for example, a clearinghouse. What's the result? If you submit those self-descriptions and they have been verified according to the trust framework by the compliance service, you will get a positive response from the service that states it conforms, the shape fits the specifications, and the signatures are valid. And this is the outcome we want to achieve for everybody today, to our best of capabilities. So, we haven't talked much about the registry here. This was more about the compliance service, but the registry is also involved in these steps. So, in a very practical manner, what it does, and we will show that later during our first run, our first self-description, the registry will take care that those issuing self-descriptions are on the list of trust anchors or have received their X509 certificates and corresponding key pairs from accredited trust anchors, for example, Gaia-X Trust Service providers. That can be done by just pasting in the public part of the certificate, of the X509 certificate. You can test that later, for example, with the keys of a trust and any other entity. We will use our keys as well and do that on your own. You can also paste the link to the PEM files there to check a certificate you're hosting as part of your DIT. We'll go into that in the practical part as well, but it will be a side note for today. You just need to know that every time the compliance service is called in the background, this check is happening. Oh, somebody muted me. Okay, that's a good point. I have been talking way too long. So questions until here before we are getting ready to do the work. Perfect. Then we can get started with preparation. For the preparation, we have prepared a pad for everybody in this meeting. So let me quickly share the link to that pad so you can accommodate yourself. Where is it? Oh, yeah, there we go. Everybody of you can join this pad, and please enter your names or institutions here, so we can a little bit distinguish who's typing what. Please be careful with editing. Everybody of you can write at the same time to this pad and modify it. Thank you. What you are required to do next, as an institution, you select a position. So now a little bit of a race is on. Meaning you will find a bit down the pad that we have here numbers from 1 to 50. If we need more, we can add more, but I don't think we need more than 50 today. Just enter, no, not your personal name. You don't have this. These are our names because we will take care of your self-descriptions. Please, after the number, enter your institution's name, meaning your full legal company name or your institution's name. So we know where we start working and who is being onboarded here. And then we will work our way through from 1 to however far we have to go. Thank you very much. That you can do already. Perfect. Yes, this is looking very good. Thank you. We are going into detail in a few minutes. What you will do next after everybody has a place in the line, you need to provide the basic information for a participant self-description. So this is totally agnostic to any toolkit. This is why we are doing it this way today. Later on, you will do that with your Gaia-X Trust service provider, clearinghouse partner, your wallet, whatever. But today we are just staying with the text form and the bare minimum. So you need to provide the basic information, company, registration number, address, and so on. And how that works, we will show you in a second. And we have templates for you to fill out. We are going into that also right in the practical part. So you don't have to write a self-description from scratch. We make it as comfy as it can be. You will be filling out a template self-description for an individual company, and we even have one for a company that has parent companies that need to be named. And before we go and dive into the practical part, any last questions before we go into detail so far?
This is Arne again.
I don't.
So in the pad, I've put in my company organization name, but nothing else for now.
That's good for now. We
Yeah,
go deeper
okay.
into the details in just a few seconds.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Then
you
we
please
can get, yes.
Post the link of the pad in the chat. I don't think I see it.
Yeah, it has been posted, but we can repost it. Just a sec. I will be copying it.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, everybody. That's great. I love your support. That makes it easier.
Sorry, I have a question. Christoph from Hochschule Furtwangen. We are 3 of us participating. Should we use only one, or everyone is doing the same name?
You should use only one slot because you
Okay.
will be receiving just one self-description. So you can organize internally if you want to do it together. If you have, for example, different opinions on how your self-description should look like. Somebody has a real microphone noise. Thank you very much. And I would encourage you to do it together as a team working on the same self-description.